Thank you so very much for this award, and thank you for those kind words, and thank you for everything that you do to create this phenomenal learning and teaching environment that you've created at your charter schools. And I want to thank CCSA for the leadership that they provide and the resources that they provide to help you to be successful. And it's really very, very exciting to be part of the charter school movement in California and across the nation and in a district like the one I represented. Rafe just mentioned Clayton Valley Charter High School. Hey, come on. Many of you would be familiar with the struggle where the school board and officials did everything they possibly could to see that this would never be converted to a charter school. But their students were phenomenal. I sat through the longest school board meeting I've ever sat through in my life without speaking. Didn't want to hurt the case, you know. But their students spoke, and they just overwhelmed them. They lost that vote. They appealed it. They won. And they're in existence today. And the energy out there among the faculty, the staff, the students is just incredible. And so congratulations to Clayton Valley Charter High School. Thank you so much. I'm reminded all the time that the opportunities that the charter schools provide, and when I get this award, it reminds me what I should be doing as a public official. And on Friday, I had a chance to meet with two young students who graduated from charter schools in West County. I'm from Contra Costa County. I live in Martinez up in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, not this Bay Area, where we have good weather. And so the young woman graduated from Making Waves, charter school in West County, and went on to get her PhD at the University of Nebraska in psychology. And Monday morning this week, she started at the Veterans Hospital counseling our returning vets and her service and beginning her career. Very, very exciting. And the young man, African American, the young woman was first generation, first person in her family to go to school, came from Chile. A family came during the 70s, during the turmoil. And the young man, African American, went to UCLA. Graduate of Richmond Leadership Charter, and now has his master's in education, is going to return to teach. And that's very exciting. The tragedy is, Saturday morning, after meeting them Friday night, Saturday morning I participated in a car wash, washing cars on the street to try to raise enough money to pay for a funeral for a young man who was shot in the very neighborhood where these two students came from, the Iron Triangle in Richmond, California. So you can see how it happens. And the luck of the draw, and to see the gift that charter school gave these two young students and so many others. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that which you've done for so many students all across the country, all across this state, that kind of opportunity. It's taken a lot of work on your part, and I just deeply appreciate it. Let me just say a couple things on policy, because last year we passed the federal legislation empowering parents through Charter Schools Act. And that was done with some understanding that there would be some cooperation on the larger bill, elementary secondary education reauthorization, the No Child Left Behind reauthorizing, something I'm a very proud author of, but I try not to say that in front of teachers a lot. But anyway, but it's very outdated and it needs to be reauthorized and changed and modified and made modern. And that cooperation didn't happen. And so this year, I think it's going to be more of a slog to pass this legislation. Because the two really go together. This was broken off from the large reauthorization of the elementary. I can't let go of this thing. I love it. Poke my eye out. Kids shouldn't play with sharp things. I actually did get elected. Just say it can happen. Before you were born. You want to just have a conversation? We'll have. But I just want to say this, that it's not, everybody doesn't embrace charter schools. You know the struggle. You know the back and forth. You know what it means to try to create a charter school, to maintain a charter school, and the cooperation you get or you don't get. And it's a, you're a growth industry. and you're taking market share, and there's a lot of competition out there. But on our committee, I think there's going to, the members of my committee continue to be concerned about discipline policies in charter schools, that this not be used as a way of counseling out, getting rid of difficult students. That's very high priority on our side of the aisle. The question of the full inclusion of students with disabilities. Charter schools are a model. They're a vision of the future. They're the excellence of the present. But they have to include all students. And you know this debate, and I'm not here to raise all of the ins and outs of it. I'm just trying to think of the policy concerns that the members of my committee have. Since Sandy Hook, we've tried to concentrate not just on gun violence and the tragedy and the slaughter of those first graders, but really what it means to have safe schools and discipline policies and working with students to keep them in school, not kicking them out of school, and looking at programs across the country that have been wildly successful in tough environments for the inclusion of those students, and that will continue to be a very real concern of the members of our committee on our side, on the Democratic side of the aisle. Also, the old question of, you were our laboratories of experimentation when we first started talking about this at the federal level. You've obviously grown way beyond that idea, but that idea is critical in terms of the lessons to be learned by your successes, by your failures, and how those are translated back to the public school systems, many of which you're a part of. And that continues to be a concern and a hope that can happen. And I understand, many of you were born like Clayton Valley in an adverse situation. You think, I don't know those people anything. They try to snuff out our dream and our potential and the excitement of what we're creating here. But the fact of the matter is, the role that it continues to be yours is to share your successes, to share what's right, to be the models of reform so that we can continue to address the needs of the public school system where the vast majority of students go in this country, and to make sure that, in fact, we can have an education system that not only is a success for those students, but is a success for our democracy, for our society, for our economy, and for the livelihoods of those children as they graduate and become adults and participate. How's that for a burden, huh? Glad you came this morning. I should have gotten a cup of coffee and get the hell out of that session. But I say this because I know I've watched you deliver on this. I've watched you deliver the schools that I've visited all across this country, in charters and states and cities everywhere. And so I just ask you to keep that in mind as we think about you going forward, about us trying to make your job easier at the federal level, something we promise quite often. You guys, come on, wake up here. If this was a business organization, they'd be throwing tomatoes at me when I said a statement like that. But we want you to succeed. We celebrate your success all of the time, and we thank you so very much for the opportunities, that shot at success that you're giving so many young people that wouldn't have it otherwise. So thank you so much for this award, and thank you more for everything that you do every day of your life. Finally, let me say, is that principal I met this morning from Delta Charter School here? See, he cut out on the session. Well, he had a good reason. You guys can report him. He had a really good reason. I was having coffee early this morning, and I could hear this sort of loud voice talking on the phone. And first I was like, what the hell is this guy doing talking so loud in the morning? And then you could hear that he was obviously talking to parents who maybe English wasn't their first language. And he was talking to them in English and what he was doing was he was rounding up all of his students, because I guess today there was a testing, and he was making sure that they showed up. He was calling them in their car. How far away are you? You have to be there by 8 o'clock. Have you left home yet? And so I went over and introduced myself, and I just said to him, thank you. So he's probably still out calling those students, but you're here. Thank you. Thank you.